Good afternoon, everybody. How we doing out there? It is Doc with ReadySetCrypto. Welcome to Black Wednesday here. Today is Wednesday, the 9th of November in 2022, and markets are just getting ripped apart from the uncertainty which is happening due to FTX blowing up. Hopefully you guys know about this situation. This is not news to you. So FTX, everybody, I think at this point, everybody pretty much knows why this is happening, right? So FTX actually backstopped themselves with their own token, and when then somebody else starts selling it against their, especially $2 billion of it, based on a rumor that their books are not too good, it starts to erode your foundation of your company. So that's what happened yesterday. As of yesterday, Binance was going to step in and save them, throw them a life preserver. That may not be happening today. I'm not sure. Apparently the books are no good. So let's take a look at anything else that you guys want to see. Welcome aboard, everybody. And thanks for joining us here today. Make sure when you check in, go ahead and let us know where you're coming in from today. And also go ahead and hit the thumbs up button. Let everybody else know that we're talking. We'll be here for maybe 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, depending on the discussion. It's not going to be so useful today doing TA, although what I can do for you is look at the particular coin pair at your chart and see if there is a tradable support level which can be used to bounce against. So we do have that with Bitcoin. That number is coming up with Bitcoin, and we should get a reaction at that. And when the time is right, we'll certainly walk you through that today, as well as everything else that you guys want to look at. So welcome aboard. I guess the good news is there's a lot of other institutions, a lot of other centralized exchanges that are doing just fine, that have no counterparty risk, that are backstopped appropriately, that don't have the same risk. It's unfortunate because, what are baseball umpires going to put on their uniforms next year? I mean, this is this is going to have devastating impacts. But I don't know what is going to happen to customer funds. I think that is obviously needs to be determined. Whoever was short FTT is probably the beneficiary of potentially billions of dollars of that. Could you elaborate? The $2 billion owns something that FTX bought. Now, it's probably better, Joaquin, if you go ahead and you can follow all of this through Twitter. Binance, this is my understanding, and I could be completely wrong about this, but back in some of the early days, Binance put a stake into FTX when FTX was not quite as big as they were now. And somebody else, if they understand the story better than me, please jump in, because I am not a news reporter. I'm an idiot savant chartist. So they invested into FTX, Binance did, by buying their coin, which is FTT. And so they had some $2 billion worth of this coin. At least that's what the current value was as of a couple of days ago. Well, when you own somebody else's coin and you hear a report that the books aren't good and there is some solvency issues, then you start to distribute that coin. You have to. You've got to, and actually CZ was very transparent about all of this. It's saying, and actually he was so transparent that he probably spooked the crap out of the market and started really this run on FTX coins. So all of a sudden everybody was selling them. Everybody's selling the inventory and the shorts got involved and everything like that. And next thing you know, the entire financial house of cards that was FTX was insolvent. So there you go. So CZ actually created this, and then he stepped in to help. I don't think that was his intention, though. All right, so yeah, they seem to have a war now. Yeah, so that's the problem is leverage leverage is one of the greatest things in trading assets. Leverage is awesome because it allows you to do things that you normally wouldn't be able to do. And that's how Sam Bankman-Fried built his business, was based on leverage. But leverage is a double-edged sword. It cuts in both ways, and it's not necessarily symmetrical. In this case, it's asymmetric. So this is what happens. This is why you can build enormous wealth very quickly through leverage, but you've got to be right, because you can destroy yourself very quickly through leverage as well too. All right, guys, welcome aboard. Glad to see everybody here today. It is quite a spectacular day in the markets. I don't know if it's good or bad. It just is, right? We can see Bitcoin here, and the latest price has gone from recently 22,000. And as we sit right now, we're at about 16,000. Now, let me jump into this, and you guys let me know if there's something that you want to see, and I'd be happy to bring it up for you. But if we look at this, where's support at Bitcoin? Support is wherever people think it is, right? But what I'd like to show you is through volume profile, what we're going to do is bring up volume profile and understand what volume was transacted at what price. And this is just part of TradingView. It's called volume profile. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to pull this down until we can see a good representation of the price and the price that was transacted. In fact, we have to go back so far. What I'm going to do is go to a weekly chart. So weekly chart, and this is Coinbase. Actually, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go over to Bitstamp, because they've got more history on Bitstamp. Okay, so you can see where things are essentially zero down here and all the way through this. Okay, so I'm going to wait for this thing to draw up. Well, that's not going to work. Okay, so let me go back to Coinbase. And we don't necessarily care so much about the time before, say, like 2017, but this to me is the most dramatic chart here, is that we've got, let me get my magic pen over here for you guys. Can I look at the hex? All right. KINT and mover, please. All right. All right, give me a second here, guys. Let's see. I'm going to go to this. Can't draw without a pen, right? So what we're seeing here is we've had a lot of consolidation. This shows volume at price, and this is important because when there's no volume, like here, the price ripped through this area from 20,000 up to 30,000. And then you'll notice that it spent very little time coming through here on the way back down. That means there was very little volume at price. And notice how long it spent down here at 20,000. And that's because it spent a lot of time over there at 20,000. Or enough time. But there is literally no price between, say, like 12,000 up to 18,000. 12,000 to 18,000 is essentially a vacuum. So what I would expect to see is over the next, I don't know how long it's going to take, whether it's going to take a day or a week or a month or whatever, we'll be down here at this breakout level, which is about 12 to 13,000. 12 to 13,000 is where I expect support to be. Now this, I could be totally wrong with this. I don't know. I'm not predicting the future. I don't know what's going to happen in the next 5 minutes, much less tomorrow, because things could change. All of a sudden, certainty comes back into the market because CZ says, you know what, we've got enough funds to cover this, and we just set up an agreement with Coinbase and so, and all of a sudden everything is good, right? We don't know that. But I'm assuming that if we have this amount of momentum heading to the downside, people will continue to park. They're going to continue to put their coins on an exchange and sell them off. and it will continue to happen. And then there's demand. There's demand down here as well too. So to me, I wouldn't be surprised to see the price come down to 12 and bounce. That's one side of the coin. The other side of the coin that I'm going to bring up, and this is maybe a strange example, but I'm going to run with it anyway, just because I do that kind of thing. I'm going to take you back to the S&P 500, and I'm going to take you back to 2016. And here was an event, and I want to see if anybody here was paying attention to this event, which occurred in July of 2016. Does anybody know what this was here? Does anybody know what happened in July of 2016, which literally scared the crap out of the entire financial world? What happened back then? Anybody know? There's a little bit of delay here between my streams, so I'll just take a quick drink and see if anybody knows. The flash crash, Joaquin, was in 2010, not 2016. No, it wasn't nukes from Russia. I'll start spelling it out, and you guys will know exactly what it is. Starts with a B. Nope. Nobody expected this. Nobody expected that the people from Britain would vote in favor of Brexit. And it just completely, think about all of the ramifications of that. And all, quite honestly, we've seen years of turmoil just from this one vote. Okay? But what I want to bring to your attention is what happened here on the daily chart. And I'm not sure, let's see if I can find this. It is going to be, I'm going to have to go digging for this quite a ways back. All right. It's going to take a while for me to get back to there. But I think you'll see what's going on here. Now, what happened back in, let's see, we're almost there. That's 2018. We're almost there. And I think it was right. Yeah, here it is right there. All right, so here's Brexit. So what happened was for like 2 to 3 days, all of a sudden it was just bedlam. And this doesn't look like that big of a deal, but it was at the time. This was trillions of dollars of funds that were moving around. So everybody was just literally like, what do we do? And it was just uncertainty. Markets hate uncertainty. Markets hate uncertainty, which is why the U.S. election right now, which is still in, it's up in the air. It's still ambiguous. And the markets hate that. It absolutely hates that. So that's one more strike against crypto today, is that we have this sort of overhanging hangover from the election yesterday. So what happened was, once the market processed like, oh, okay, all right, I can deal with that. Then all of a sudden it ripped higher from here. So that's why I want to bring this to your attention is I've seen this happen before where we've had an event come along. And let's catch up to today. There is today. We have an event come along, and it's a pretty serious event. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. It's a serious event when you have the number 3 exchange in crypto. All of a sudden, literally overnight, people are desperate to get their funds out of there. They don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen to that. I'm not the source of information from that, so don't come to me. I'll try to find out what I can, but I'll probably be just like everybody else, going to Twitter and seeing what the latest news is. But the point I'm trying to make here for you guys is I have seen these things capitulate literally in the span of a couple of days and cause an incredible slingshot solution or situation from there. So that is a possibility. However, I think we'll know about this within a couple of days. We'll know as to whether or not something like that could happen. But for right now, I think the path of least resistance is to the downside. Okay, all right. I will, don't ask me if I think Solana will recover. I don't know. Nobody knows the answer to that. Does anybody think that Luna would recover or not? No, nobody knows the answer to something like that. Nobody knows if any of these assets will recover or not, and that's part of the problem that we have right now. Because, we talked about this a few months ago, and I'm sure I've made this point along the way several times, is like, this reminds me an awful lot of the NASDAQ bubble when it hit, because the NASDAQ bubble was all built on promise. It was all built on cool, domain names and, virtual space. And it was all built by a bunch of bros that, had slides from the second floor to the first floor. And it was just a lot of fun back then. But nobody was building anything that was serviceable nor had any revenue. So we weren't really producing any solutions, and it wasn't producing any revenue from it. So the crash had to happen. And this is one of the problems with crypto, is that crypto has an identity crisis. Nobody knows what the hell it does. At least it spends money, right? So we all know that there's different solutions for crypto, and we're all trying to tribalistically push these things out there. But until we get this to cross the chasm, which it has not crossed the chasm yet, that's the problem. So Bitcoin is still very much an early adopter or innovator type of technology. Cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, whatever you want to call it, right? DeFi, everything like that is still very much in its infancy. This is why we're still so early, and this is why we're going to have problems like this. Okay, let me look at some of the coins that you guys want to look at, and we'll see if there is any kind of support for them. So we're going to do the same thing here, and if hopefully I can find some levels that we can trade against. So I would say with something like this, right now we don't have, this is Kint versus US dollar on Kraken. We don't have any kind of support right now. And so nothing. All right, the next one is Mover. And we'll look at Mover versus Tether. So the problem is we're going to have a lot of these which are just down into nothing. Just down into nothing right now. So let me reset this chart. So they're just crawling along the gutter, and we have things that previously had traded, for dozens of dollars. And now we're down at 750, and there's no visible means of support. So a lot of these are going to zero out, unfortunately. If there's not a good enough case for this, they're going to zero out. We saw the same thing happen in NASDAQ stocks back in 2000 to 2003. We saw a lot of them just belly up and zero out. And again, that's not me. That's not me judging your coin. That's not me judging you as an investor or anything like that. This is just me looking at the chart saying, I don't know where support is. I don't see any previous support below 750 in this case for Mover. So please take this with a grain of salt. I'm not here to crap on your coin. All right. Okay. I don't know if Solana will ever recover. So right now, Solana, for whatever reason, has been just brutalized, down 47% today. So it's down to 12. I have no visible means of support below that level. The volume is huge right now. Could be going through capitulation. We were down at 20 a year ago, and it's cut through that support level. So no means of support down there. Okay, let's see. Next one is Cardano. Does Cardano have anything going on here? And so for some of these, I'm going to bring it out to the weekly chart because some of these have been around for a long, long time. And Cardano is sub dollar or so. In some ways, this one hasn't been hit as hard. But there's no support down here. That's the problem, below 30 cents, which is going to be the same thing for XRP as well, too. Robert, can I look at Hex? Hex is a weird one because, let's see. We'll look at it through USDC. Now, this one is actually, there are ones which are doing quite well if we use BTC in the, so if we're doing something like XMR versus BTC, which I've got this out here, hang on, getting lazy. So if we do XMR versus BTC, this one looks great, right? This has got a bull flag and it looks very strong. So actually XMR is holding strength versus BTC. So if you have your reference currency getting drilled right now, is there any other asset? And this is why you might want to look at the screener and see if there's a different way that you can price this. I typically do these things versus Tether or the dollar because that's the reference currency where I live. But if you want to use BTC as a reference currency during these times, this may be the one time that it makes sense. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's see. I was looking at Hex for you, and let's see, what do we have? Now this is a weekly chart. And we are seeing a little bit of support down here at this level. There's a tiny little bit of support for Hex on Uniswap at this level. If we look at the daily chart, you can see just a little bit of it here. We reset this. So I've seen worse. We've seen worse. We're seeing hammer candlesticks. We're seeing some levels of support down here. But if it does break through this level, then it may be gone. Okay, let's see what else do we have here. Okay, waves. Yeah, there may be a lot more functionality, Joaquin, but if you cannot translate that into the majority, into the mass market, I mean, this is the product adoption curve that everybody goes through. And this is something I learned, over 20 years ago, is you've got your innovators over here, you got your early adopters, and then there's what's called the chasm. That's right there. And this is called the early majority. The early majority is right here. And this is where you've got to get this towards, right? So early majority, you can think of this as, maybe something like Google was, I don't know, maybe 20, 25 years ago. Trying to get people to actually quit using Ask Jeeves and start using Google. So let's see, this is early adopters. And this is the innovators. The innovators are the engineers that use this stuff and totally understand it and don't see why why on earth the rest of the world isn't using it. Early adopters then pick up the ball and they start using it. But again, these are the folks that are, the nerds that are out there that are using something well in advance of somebody else. And there's this thing called the chasm, which is right here. So the chasm is right there. And you've got to cross the chasm with whatever that is you're selling to get any hope of having this thing. Because otherwise it's just going to be another technology which had a lot of promise and just doesn't, falls by the wayside. And then you get, obviously, down the product adoption curve, you get the late majority, and I forget what these poor souls are using over here, but these are the folks that are using, telephones still, landline telephones in their house, which is would be like my mother, right? So late majority, these people are on cable, right? They're still using cable in a cable box, and here's a telephone. But this is kind of quick detour here. But so waves back to waves. I don't see waves with. Whoa, wait a minute. No, we do. We do have some support down here for waves. All right, let's go out to a weekly chart and see what we can see. So waves has got support down here at about 50 cents, right? About 50 cents. So it has some ways to go, but man, what a crush of destruction. Oh, I got to get people to quit emailing me at this time. Okay, so that's waves. Let's go on to Polkadot. Polkadot. All right, what's going on with Polkadot? Polkadot is right at that level of support, which is right there. That red line is actually called the point of control, and it's losing the point of control right now. And the next level of support is down there at about $4 or $5. Okay, we already looked at Solana. Yeah, 2003 would be great to buy NASDAQ. XTC. XDC, this is a weekly chart. Hasn't been hit as hard as some of the other ones, so I don't know, maybe 2.5 cents is support down here. It will find support. It will find where the majority of the bids outweigh the offers. That's where you've got to find. You've got to find that price point where people are willing to buy again and nobody wants to sell. Okay, Chainlink. Let's look at Chainlink. I know it's on here somewhere. There we go. Chainlink is getting beat up right now, and support is going to be somewhere down around 5 to 550 for this one. It's got to find some support down at that level. Otherwise, that is NFG. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so $5 Chainlink right there. That is support on Chainlink. This one's actually cleaner than most of them because most of them don't get this. This is the concept of old resistance, knocking on the ceiling until it finally breaks through. Old resistance becomes new support. So Chainlink, $5. That's probably the cleanest one that we've seen tonight. Yeah. Well, guess what? You got to find a way to get grandma on the blockchain, right? Get grandma on the blockchain. Okay. Does anybody else have any other coins here? Anything else for tonight? Again, the main point I want to make to you guys is, I mean, probably for BTC, if I had to look at a price, oof, the emails are coming in. If I had to look at a price here, I would say probably BTC down to about 12,000. If I had to make a guess tonight, but anything could happen. We could see a slingshot. What we're looking for is certainty. Certainty coming into the market will make things turn around again and provide the accumulation. Okay, let's see. A couple more came in. I'll do these three. Algorand. Let's see where Algorand. And it's such a crime because a lot of these are looking so good lately. Algorand, I would say somewhere around a quarter, like 20 cents or so. That's support for Algorand. QNT was a monster until recently. QNT was a monster, and it has lost support, unfortunately. So you can see support here was former resistance, which was holding pretty well on this fib. Former resistance got cut through, especially on the trend line. Rising patterns break to the downside, so I would say your next level is going to be down here at about 40 on QNT. Actually, no, I take that back. Next level of support is down here at about 86. 86, 87. If that gets cut through, notice where the point of control is, though. Point of control for this, at least through the past year, is just about 100. So That may be the first level of support. Second level is about 86, and then we've got 40. So QNT has been very, very strong. COTI. COTI has no support. Yes, it does. Okay, so down here at that's about 2.6. About 2.6 right now. It's about 8. So support is about 2.6 cents because it's broken through 8. It's broken through 8 cents. All right, last two, and then I need to cut and run here. Ethereum has support down here at about 1,000. About 1,000. That's got to hold. It is below the point of control right now, which is not good. That's a bear flag. That's almost a bear flag, which is acting like a head and shoulders pattern as well, too. So we have a head and shoulders pattern. We have all kinds of reasons for. So support has got to hold at 1,000. Otherwise, it's going to be heading lower. And last for tonight, EGLD. Well, I still have a voice. EGLD versus Tether. Let's see where this one. Okay. This one. Man, we're going to have some bargains here, guys. So right now support is at 40, but it could go as low as 10. Right now support is at 40, but if it drops through that support, the next level is at 10. All right, guys, I wish I had better news. I wish we could just flip these charts upside down and talk about breakouts all day long, which is be my favorite thing to do. This is just, this is one of those times. I remember when we went through this in 2018, I was looking for capitulation, which we never really got until we got into the pandemic, and then we finally got capitulation. It took a couple of years. This could be an event which causes capitulation, but like I say all the time, if you want prices to go higher, you have to go lower first to find out where that bid is. Okay, thanks everybody. You guys have a great day. Wish we had better news. Hopefully next week when we get together, we'll have something more interesting to talk about other than, Black Wednesday here. So thanks everybody. You guys take care, and we'll see you online. Adios, folks. Bye now.